What if your greatest failure happens right after your boldest promise? What if the moment you thought you were strongest is the moment you fall? And what if failure is not the end of your story, but the beginning of something deeper? There is a quiet tension in the night. The garden is behind them. The arrest has already taken place. Jesus has been taken away, bound, and led into the courtyard of the high priest. The atmosphere is heavy, uncertain, filled with fear and confusion. And in the middle of all this, Peter follows. In Gospel of John chapter 18, verses 15 to 18, we are given a glimpse into a moment that is both deeply human and painfully real. Peter, the disciple who once spoke with bold confidence, now finds himself in a situation he never imagined. Just hours before, he had made a strong declaration. He had said he was ready to follow Jesus anywhere, ready to stand with him, even to the point of death. But now, everything feels different. Jesus is no longer surrounded by crowds and miracles. There are no signs of power, no visible victory. Instead, there are guards, accusations, and danger. And Peter is close enough to see it all. He follows at a distance. That detail matters. Not running away completely, but not standing fully near either. This is the space where fear begins to take over. Following, but not too close. Caring, but cautious. Wanting to stay connected, but also wanting to stay safe. Peter enters the courtyard with the help of another disciple who is known to the high priest. He steps into a place where he doesn't fully belong, surrounded by people who are not on his side. The fire is burning, the night is cold, servants and officials are gathered, warming themselves, and Peter stands among them, trying to blend in, trying not to be noticed. But something about him stands out. A servant girl at the door looks at him and asks a simple question. "You aren't one of this man's disciples too, are you?" It's not an accusation filled with anger. It's not a threat. It's just a question. But in that moment, it feels like everything is on the line. Peter has a choice, to speak truth or to protect himself, and he responds with just a few words, "I am not." 3 simple words, but they carry weight, because they are not just words. They are a denial. A contradiction of everything he had said before. A moment where fear speaks louder than conviction. And this is what makes this scene so powerful, because it is so relatable. Peter is not a distant figure in this moment. He is human. He feels the pressure. He senses the risk. He reacts. And his reaction reveals something many of us understand. It's one thing to be bold when everything feels safe. It's another to stand firm when everything feels uncertain. Peter had confidence when he was surrounded by Jesus' presence, by miracles, by clarity. But now in the darkness, in the uncertainty, in the tension, that confidence begins to shake. And instead of stepping forward, he steps back, not physically, but internally. He distances himself from the truth. I am not. This moment is not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet, almost unnoticed. But it matters because sometimes the most significant moments in our lives are not the ones everyone sees. They are the ones that happen in silence, in small decisions, in quick responses, in moments where we choose between truth and fear. Peter's denial didn't come from hatred, it came from fear. Fear of being associated, fear of being exposed, fear of what might happen next. And fear has a way of changing how we respond. It makes us hesitate, it makes us second guess, it makes us choose safety over truth. But here's something important. Peter didn't stop following. He stayed. He remained in the courtyard. He watched. He listened. Even after denying, he didn't walk away completely. And this reveals something deeper. Failure doesn't always come from turning away completely. Sometimes it comes from trying to stay close, but not too close. Trying to be connected, but without risk. Trying to belong, but without commitment. This is a tension many people live in, wanting to follow, wanting to believe, but also wanting to stay comfortable, wanting to avoid conflict, wanting to protect themselves. And in that space, compromise begins. Not always in big, obvious ways, but in small, quiet moments. Moments like this. I am not. It's easy to judge Peter from a distance, to think I would never say that. But the truth is, many people face similar moments, maybe not in the same setting, but in different forms. Moments where speaking truth might cost something. Moments where standing firm might lead to discomfort. Moments where staying silent feels easier than being honest. And in those moments, the question is the same. Will we step forward or step back? Peter's story reminds us that bold declarations are not enough. What matters is how we respond when pressure comes, when things are unclear, when standing firm feels risky. This is where character is revealed, not in comfort, but in tension, not in certainty, but in uncertainty. Another detail that stands out is the environment, the fire, the cold, the gathering of people. Peter is physically trying to stay warm, but internally something is shifting. The warmth of the fire contrasts with the distance he is creating from Jesus. And this contrast is symbolic, because sometimes we seek comfort in places that slowly pull us away from what matters most. We try to blend in to feel safe. We stay quiet to avoid attention. We adjust our words to fit the moment. And slowly, without realizing it, we create distance. Not always intentional, but real. And yet, even in this moment, Peter's story is not over. This denial is not the final chapter. It is a part of the journey, a painful part, but a meaningful one. Because failure has a way of revealing what needs to be strengthened. It exposes weaknesses. It shows where fear still has influence. It brings to light areas that need growth. And while it is uncomfortable, it is also an opportunity to learn, to reflect, to become stronger. Peter would go on to deny again and again, but he would also be restored. He would find his voice again. He would stand boldly in the future, not because he never failed, but because he learned from it. This is an important perspective, because many people see failure as the end, as something that disqualifies them, as something that defines them. But Peter's story shows something different. Failure does not have to define you. It can refine you. It can become part of your growth, part of your transformation, part of your story, not the end of it. So if you find yourself in a moment where you feel like you've stepped back, where fear has influenced your choices, where you haven't responded the way you hoped, you're not alone, and it's not over. The question is not whether you failed. The question is what you do next. Do you stay distant? Do you give up? Or do you continue to follow, even if it's imperfect? Peter stayed. Even after denying, he didn't disappear. And that matters, because staying creates space for restoration, for change, for growth. And that is where hope begins. Not in perfection, but in persistence. Not in never falling, but in getting back up. This moment in the courtyard is a reminder of how fragile human strength can be, but it is also a reminder of how powerful growth can be. Because the same Peter who said, "I am not," would later stand before crowds and speak with boldness. The same Peter who stepped back would eventually step forward. Not because he was naturally strong, but because he was transformed through the process. And that transformation is available to anyone willing to learn, to grow, to continue. So wherever you are in your journey, remember this. You may have moments of fear, moments of hesitation, moments where you don't respond the way you wish you had. But those moments do not define your entire story. They are part of it. And what matters most is what comes next. Will you allow those moments to push you away, or will you let them draw you deeper, deeper into understanding, deeper into growth, deeper into purpose? Because even in failure, there is a path forward. Even in denial, there is a chance for restoration. Even in weakness, there is the potential for strength. Peter's first denial is not just a story of failure. It is a story of humanity, a story of tension, a story of growth waiting to happen. And in that, there is something we can all learn from. Thank you for watching this video. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like, follow the channel, and share this video with someone who might need this today.